tanks are ridiculous. So in Overwatch 1, tanks were very different, but in Overwatch 2, they're completely different. Like, they have completely changed the way tanks are, and of course it's needed because now we have 5v5. But what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go through all of the tanks. There are 10 of them right now, and at the very end of the video, we're going to go over Hero 36, which is going to be the 11th tank, which is probably going to be Mauga. But I'm going to go through every tank here in an unedited video. I want to give you guys my opinions on all of the tanks right now, because obviously there's a lot of videos out there on which tanks you should play and which tanks you shouldn't play, but I've been playing all of the tanks recently, kind of pushing damage and support to the side just to get a good feel of what it feels like to be the leader of the team in Overwatch. So let's start with, obviously, the worst tank right now. I think everyone can agree on this. DOOMFIST. DOOMFIST is the worst tank in Overwatch 2 right now. And it sounds weird that I want to say this, but it's not his fault. Like, he is really fun to play. You can still get good value out of him, but it's not a completely well-rounded rework for what it needs to be in Overwatch 2. They tried their best, and I applaud them for it. He just needs a little bit of tuning. So hopefully in Season 2, honestly, guys, we just got those patch notes. I posted a video earlier, and I'm sure you guys have seen other videos out there right now, but that should have been an early change. Like, they should have changed DOOMFIST right now. He needs to be changed, because we can talk about Genji and Zarya and Sombra and how they're overpowered or underpowered and all of those other changes, right? But really, the biggest unbalanced character in the game right now is DOOMFIST. Like, people would say Moira on the support side, that she is too powerful, and I'm also surprised that we didn't see anything about that. But really, DOOMFIST is the most underwhelming character in the game. He is still really fun to play, but I hope that they put a little more effort into changing his kit, because he might need, he might need some rework still. Like, I don't know if his block ability is all that good. They need to either add something to it or just change it a little bit. Like, you know, Orisa can block a lot, and we're not going to skip to Orisa right now, but I just want to say she can block a lot by spinning her javelin around. DOOMFIST feels like he has a smaller, worse version than that. Like, when you block with DOOMFIST, it powers up his rocket punch, right? So you do more damage, and it just is better all around, but it's not enough. It's just not enough, and that's really what it is. His abilities don't bounce off of each other very well right now in the meta, so they need to either pump him up or completely change him, and I personally think that they did not do this early change in those patch notes that are coming out on November 15th, because they're going to make even bigger changes to him. It's not just a matter of math and changing his abilities when it comes to how much damage mitigation they take or how much damage they do. He needs a bit more work. So then let's go to the next tank character that I don't see a lot of people play right now, but I do think that he is fairly good. I wouldn't say that he's the best tank to play, but he's definitely a viable option, and that is Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball is really fun to play still. They have not changed much about Wrecking Ball. They have not changed Wrecking Ball very much, but he can do a lot of stuff, and I will tell you that people really sleep on, no pun intended with Ana, but they really sleep on Wrecking Ball being able to stall on point. Like, if you need time for your team to get back to the point, the best thing that Wrecking Ball can do better than almost any other character in the game is stall. If you hook around the point and you spin around, depending on what game mode you're playing, let's say the payload, if you have an open area and you just spin around, you can do that for a decent amount of time, where you can do some damage, confuse the team a bit by smacking them around, and then you can use your other ability where you gain energy, and it's, well, I don't know if they gain energy anymore. I'm pretty sure that it's the health now. They changed that. So, but really, Wrecking Ball is really good. You can get a lot of value out of him. Honestly, the biggest problem with Wrecking Ball is his enormous health pool. He is moving around so fast all the time, getting in the enemy backline, that your supports don't usually have a chance to heal you, and that's a big issue. You know, you'd have to come back, and I see Wrecking Balls come back all the time when I do get to play with Wrecking Balls. They come back, you know, because I'm usually playing support, because that's what I main, and they just stand there. and you just heal them, and it takes a second. You know, it takes longer than almost any other character in the game. You just sit there, shoot them with some healing, and then he goes back out and he does his job. But it's really hard to be with him and heal with him if A, he's not communicating, right? Because depending on what teammates you get, it's going to be a very different feel. Obviously, that's for all characters, but Wrecking Ball specifically, because his job is to go out and cause chaos. And if he decides to go out and cause chaos in an area where you can't heal him or you can't support him with extra damage, it's going to be bad. So he's very situational, but he is still a very good tank right now, and I'm very happy with Wrecking Ball. Like, I think he's pretty balanced. They might change him in the future, but I will say that I think he's pretty balanced right now, guys. Like, I don't know, put your comments below and tell me how you feel about Wrecking Ball. I don't see a lot of Wrecking Ball mains, but hey, you know, there's a lot of new people playing Overwatch, so who knows? Maybe some people are picking up Wrecking Ball. Alright, and then let's move on to Junker Queen. I feel like we're kind of going up a little bit. Junker Queen, I'd say, is a step up from Wrecking Ball, and I am going to try and put these characters in order. So I do think that it goes DOOMFIST, Wrecking Ball, and listen, do not take the fact that DOOMFIST is at the bottom and then the next up is Wrecking Ball. There is a huge jump from DOOMFIST to Wrecking Ball. Like, DOOMFIST is way low down there. So, DOOMFIST, Wrecking Ball, then Junker Queen. They nerfed Junker Queen too hard. That's really all it is. She got nerfed to the ground. She doesn't feel like she did in the beta, and they need to buff her. Not that she's not viable, right? And maybe you could say that she's below Wrecking Ball. I'm not really sure. Because, like I said, I don't play tank all the time. Obviously, I play a ton of Overwatch, so I do play tank in general. But it's just, she's not a pick that I usually go for. I think that I'd actually go for Wrecking Ball more than Junker Queen. But Junker Queen in general, she just got nerfed too hard. She feels good. She's still fun to play. It just doesn't feel like, I mean, when you go up against certain characters like Junker Queen versus Orisa, it's just not going to work. Like, it's just not going to. If you guys both have a good team and you're playing to your maximum potential, I feel like Orisa will win every single time. And the same against a lot of the other characters. Maybe wins against ROADHOG, maybe against Winston, but pretty much everyone else, even ZARYA, can easily take down a Junker Queen. And obviously these are just my opinions, guys, but that's the way I feel. And it's not that they need to change anything specifically about Junker Queen. They need to tune her math again. She was too high before, now she's too low. She needs to have more value out of what she does mathematically. They don't need to change her abilities. They don't need to do anything like that. I think everything feels really good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. But that's Junker Queen for me. She feels great, doesn't do enough. That's basically the bottom line. So I'd rank her third. I wasn't really going to rank the tanks, but I'll say that we'll go through them in order from least to greatest. So DOOMFIST, Wrecking Ball, Junker Queen, and then I'm going to say D.Va. D.Va gets the job done. She really does. Obviously they're nerfing her a little bit because she's pretty powerful, and that is going to be happening November 15th. Like I said, I'm sure you guys have seen those videos and the updates. If you haven't watched mine, that's one of my latest videos. Go check it out. I'll put a card up above. But D.Va specifically, I feel like, I know that they said that they don't want people to feel like they have to switch anymore in Overwatch 2, and it's starting to get that way, but at the same time, you still need to change characters. It's like, I talk about how you don't have to change characters if you don't want to, and that's true, you don't have to. You keep playing your character, you will get better with that character no matter what, even if you're going up against odds that are ridiculously stacked against you. But D.Va has too many counters. Winston counters her, just because her defense matrix can only handle so much, it can only absorb so much, and then you throw Bastion into the mix, and yes, she can block Bastion, but he's still super powerful against her, and so is Symmetra, and all of these other characters like Moira, Symmetra. There's just characters out there that can get through that defense matrix, and it's not enough. And I mean, that's really the bottom line. She does a lot of damage. She feels really good to play. It's, her mobility is fantastic to be able to get around and boot people and cause chaos, and she is a viable pick. Like I said before, that's why they're nerfing her, because she did such a good job. But if you're smart and you're going up against a D.Va, you're going to make those quick changes to your heroes and counter her very quickly. And there's a lot you could do. Like, geez, you could go Symmetra Mei and D.Va's done for. Like, absolutely done for. If you can't block with D.Va, it's over for you. So I'd say D.Va is fourth on the list specifically because of those reasons. And like I said, if you change your character, if you play D.Va and then that's what happens, the enemy team switches to something ridiculous to counter you, like not just one character change, but like 3 character changes, right? So we have a Moira, we have a Symmetra, we have a Mei, like who knows? Like there's just so many possibilities going up against D.Va. If the enemy team is smart, that's what they'll do, and if you're smart, you'll probably switch. So that's why I am ranking her number 4. And then this is where things get pretty tricky, right? I think that most people would say that Orisa is next because, in my opinion, the top 4 tanks are Reinhardt, Roadhog, Sigma, and Zarya. But Orisa, I'd say, is number 5 on the list. So we've got Doomfist, Wrecking Ball, Junker Queen, D.Va, and then Orisa. I left out Winston there. So the top 5 tanks I would say is Reinhardt, Roadhog, Sigma, Winston, and Zarya. But Orisa's right there in the middle. That's the way I feel. So yeah, why is Orisa in the middle? That is a good question. I feel like she's very balanced. I feel like she gets a lot of value out of her kit. She's still situational, right? But this is where we started to get into the upper levels of tank that aren't in the lower state. So Orisa specifically, one of the best things that she does is something that not a lot of characters in the entire game can do anymore, and that is stun. And with that javelin, you can stun people out of their ultimates, and it is fantastic. If a Reaper decides to ult in front of you to try and take you out, you can use your Fortify ability, not take a lot of damage, and then you can just throw your javelin at him and basically end his ult. And you can do that with a lot of ults that are like that. There are some specific changes to some specific ults where you can't get stunned out of that anymore, but Reapers is definitely one. So she's good for situations like that. Like I said, her going up against a D.Va is a big issue because, I mean, that's her primary fire getting countered all the time. So, like I said, these are just off the top of my head opinions. And Orisa's good, but she's just mediocre. I'd say she's right there in the middle, yeah. Yep, number 5 out of 10, so, you know, take that what you will. Then, I would have to say that it has to go to Roadhog. Roadhog is very powerful, but with his lack of armor, and if you don't have team support, it's very difficult for you to get a lot of value, right? Because he has his hook ability and he has his healing ability. That's all he has. So the way he does damage is with his primary fire. So if you can't get hooks, then you're not going to get a lot of value out of him because that's the way he gets kills. Like if you're going to play Roadhog effectively, I don't feel like you have to be sneaky anymore. You do not have to if you don't want to. There are plenty of viable times in a team matchup where you are grouped up with your team and you're going up against another team and you guys are all exchanging blows and fighting and you're not being sneaky and you can hook someone and get a pick with your team. And he's very valuable this way, but your team has to work with you. And obviously this is a game all about teamwork, so that goes without saying for every single hero. But specifically tanks, and I'd say specifically Roadhog, he needs some help. It's not that he's not powerful, and it's not that he's not, like I said, number 6 on the list. He's pretty powerful. But if you can't land your hooks and you don't have some team support, he's really going to suffer because he doesn't have any armor. And one of the other things I've noticed is depending on who you're going up against, you can still get stunned out of taking your healing ability. Your take a breather ability, I get stunned out of that all the time. Orisa will hit me with that, Sigma will hit me with the rock and stun me out of it, and like I said, if you don't have team support and nobody is healing you, then you're really in trouble. But I will say that if you have a good team, which honestly is happening to me most of the time, I'm getting some good teams, or if you just play above average with Roadhog, if you can just get your hooks and get kills without anyone else helping you, you will dominate your matches. One of the things that I wanted to tell you guys with Roadhog is that I've heard so many people in different videos, high up videos, low videos, you know, just everyone in general is saying that this game, you can't carry anymore. And if you want a carry character and you're playing tank and you like tank, Roadhog is your carry character. If you can land your hooks and you can get your kills, it will make that much of a difference, and that's the way it has always been with Hog, and it is still very much the same with Hog. Like, he's been changed over the years, and he's been nerfed, but you can get kills, And that's all you need to do. I mean, if you get one single kill, that's 4 against 5. That's ridiculous. It's not 5 against 6 anymore, and it makes a world of difference that there's going to be 2 less players at that point in a match, and that's why the game feels so different. So I play ROADHOG all the time. He's very fun. I definitely think that if you guys want to get better with one specific tank and play that tank all the time, ROADHOG is your main. Like, go play ROADHOG, go practice hooks, and practice getting those single kills without anybody else's help, and you will carry every single match. Obviously, like I said, it's going to depend on your team, and you have to have a little team support, but really, if you can do that, it's going to be fantastic for you. Alright, so yeah, that's ROADHOG, and I'd say a step above that, it's pretty crazy here, right? A lot of people would have different opinions at this point, and obviously everyone's going to have different opinions, but for me, I feel like this is definitely the top 4 tanks: Reinhardt, Sigma, Winston, and ZARYA. For me, I'd have to go with ZARYA, and I'm going to take her new nerfs into account. I've been playing some ZARYA after this patch notes got released today, and I'll say that I'm starting to feel like her nerfs are going to be a tad bit more significant than I thought from the beginning. But she's still going to be viable, and I do think that she is a step up above ROADHOG. But taking her nerfs into consideration, I think that you can still get a lot of value with her, and like I said, she's super simple, and this is another D.Va counter. Like, D.Va cannot do anything against ZARYA, and that's why I was placing D.Va so low, for those specific reasons. All of these beam characters or non-projectile characters really focus D.Va, and that is a plus with ZARYA. That's a big plus. For a lot of characters that you go up against, Orisa, Junker Queen, Doomfist, Wrecking Ball, I mean, even Sigma, he can't absorb your stuff. You know, he can only absorb projectiles just like D.Va, and it doesn't turn it into extra health for him, and it's just fantastic. Playing ZARYA right now is a fantastic pick, but once again, you have to have some team support because she has, you know, lower health than a lot of the other tanks, but she also has really good survivability. She can survive large burst impact ultimates like Junkrat Tire or D.Va Bomb. Like I said, she counters D.Va hardcore. And you can also trade that and focus on your teammates, you know, give them bubbles, don't just focus on yourself. She is a tank with a lot of supporting powers. Like, a lot of the other tanks support themselves in a certain way, like Orisa. Like, all of her abilities are about protecting her. Like, you know, when she spins her javelin around and blocks projectiles, yeah, that can help your team out, but really it covers a radius that's about her size, a little bit bigger. It's not like a Reinhardt barrier. So ZARYA is going to get a lot of value from that, and of course she can get incredible damage. If you can use those bubbles efficiently to save yourself, save your team, power yourself up, and get a lot of ult charge, she's going to dominate, because once again, do not sleep on this, guys. I know there's a lot of new players out there that might be watching this video. ZARYA's ultimate is one of the best in the games for, I mean, a lot of reasons. If you hit a specific area and you get a good ultimate thrown with ZARYA, then you're going to get a lot of the enemy team in that graviton surge. And, you know, if your team is focusing them and there's a lot of ability cooldowns on the enemy team, you're going to get good value out of using your ultimate without another ultimate entirely. You guys can jump in there and deal a shit ton of damage to them right while they're caught in the grav, or you can sync it up with another ultimate or 2 ultimates, whatever you need to wipe the team. Now remember, guys, you don't want to be wasting all of your ultimates, so talk with your team, be effective, especially with ZARYA's ultimate. It is a very team-oriented ultimate, but if you see an opening where you can get some picks by using your ultimate, use it. Go for it. Like, don't give up. Try things out, and don't worry too much about what your team is going to think about you. Like, just play the game, learn how to use her ultimate, because it's very situational and it takes her a long time to get it. So that would be my advice for her, but she's very powerful right now, and I still think that she's going to be placed right here, even when she gets those nerfs, but we'll have to wait and see. So, alright, moving up one step, I'm going to say REINHART, because I do think that the top 2 tanks in the game are Winston and Sigma, and I know that's crazy, because I've talked a lot about REINHART being super powerful, and REINHART is super powerful. I think he's super balanced, though. He's does a really good job at damage mitigation just because he has a giant body, he has a lot of health and a decent amount of armor, and he can block so much damage and prevent so much from happening if you use his barrier effectively. It's just ridiculous. And on top of that, the chaos that you provide when you are in a clump of enemies and you are swinging your hammer around is just unprecedented. Like, it is ridiculous how much damage and confusion you can cause as Reinhardt. And on top of that, he has long range attacks. You know, his fire strikes deal a decent amount of damage. I think they do 90 right now, and that is ridiculous. You can pick off so many characters that way. And don't even get me started on his charge. His charge is the best change that they've made to Reinhardt since launch. The fact that you can stop his charge opens up so many possibilities now, it's ridiculous. And like I said before in my previous Reinhardt guide, it kills over half the characters on the character roster. It deals 225 damage, I believe, yeah, 225, and that's enough to get literally most picks. Most picks for healers, most picks for damage, obviously not tanks. So that in general, if you can land that and get a pick, it's just as good as a hook. It might be even better because it can be quicker depending on where you are. Yeah, Reinhardt is just supremely balanced all around. I'd say he is the most balanced character. You know, this is like sitting around like a C+, you know, if we're going back to math in high school, that's what he would be right around. So, you know, one step up from him is going to be, I'm going to say Sigma. I think, yeah, you know, man, this is tough, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that Winston is one of the most powerful heroes in the game right now. It's very situational. We could play Sigma and Winston side by side if we wanted to, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say that Winston is one of the most powerful heroes right now. And I know that's ridiculous, but you can get so much value out of him. But let's start with Sigma first. So after Reinhardt, let's go to Sigma. Sigma can do pretty much anything that you want him to do. He has a barrier, but he doesn't have to be around his barrier. He can absorb projectiles just like D.Va, except he gets a benefit from this. You know, he gets extra health from it, and that's fantastic. His ultimate ability not only allows him to fly, but pick up and deal half health to anyone that he catches in it. He just has so much value, and he has his stun with the rock. Like, he has an ability for almost every single situation. It is ridiculous, and if you play Sigma correctly, you're going to get so much value out of him. It's just going to be ridiculous. I will say that even though we're high up on the tier list right now when it comes to these tanks, in my opinions that I'm dishing out to you guys right now, Sigma takes a lot of teamwork. You really do need some teamwork with Sigma. Healing specifically, you need someone with you to help you heal. But really as Sigma, to help yourself out, you really want to be helping your supports. I feel like he is fantastic with helping his supports, not just the damage characters, but the supports specifically. Putting those barriers in the correct place and absorbing projectiles to stop your healers from dying is so important, and he can just do so much. And let's add the little factor in there that he is a floating character. So if you want to be sneaky, you can be sneaky. He doesn't have any footprints, so you can float around, hide where you need to hide. And, you know, it is these little things in the game that make that big difference, make that big jump when we're talking about specific powerful characters. Like, you know, Sigma and Zenyatta floating and being able to hide or sneakily get away if they have a chance to with no footsteps is a fantastic addition. So, like I said, Sigma has an ability for every situation, and he is just fantastic right now. So, with that said, Winston being the #1 character, I feel like I'm going to get a lot of backlash from this, but he does such a good job at focusing all these different characters, right? And it's one of the biggest reasons is because he doesn't have to aim. Goes through Sigma, goes through D.Va, goes through Junker Queen and Orisa, and even, you know, I don't know if it goes through the Reinhardt shield, but it's really easy to get on top of Reinhardt and just focus fire him. And if Reinhardt stops holding up his barrier, which most Reinhardts do, and they start swinging on you, you're going to be dealing damage to them as well. The only person I'd say it's not very useful against is Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball just has too much health. ROADHOG, still, you can do a lot of damage to ROADHOG, even though he is going to be, I guess you could say, a counter. It just depends. Honestly, if you use your bubble efficiently with Winston, you can basically use a lot of effort into getting the enemy team to waste abilities on your barrier, because if you pop in and out of that barrier and they're trying to hit you with a sleep dart or a hook or any one-shot ability like that, it's going to go down the drain. Even Junkrat bombs aren't going to do anything, because when you're popping in and out of there and flying up into the sky and dropping barriers, it's ridiculous. And it also helps you support the team. The team can heal you through that barrier. It's just nasty. He is the nastiest tank right now, but you do have to have team support, guys. And the higher up we go, I feel like the more team support we're having to dish out, because if you do not have healing with Winston and you do not have people helping you when you jump down, it's just not going to work. And obviously there's different team compositions. If you're going to have dive, he is, he's literally the dive character. That's what he does. He dives in, lands on the characters, and destroys the enemy team. But you need to have team support. You need to have damage characters that will go in with you. And if you don't have damage characters or supports that will go in with you like that, you need to play more passively. You need to jump in, deal a little bit of damage, kind of work your way around, focus on your ability cooldowns and what you need to do, and then get out of there. Go directly back to your team so that they can't ignore you, and play with them. You don't always want to leave your team. And like I said, if you guys decide to take a tank and only play that one specific tank for practice, you're going to run into a lot of situations where no matter what match you're in, you're going to get a bad team composition and you're not going to do as well as you think you would do, because you've been playing that character so much. And that's just the way it is for all characters. When you first start playing Winston, if you're going to try Winston out and you have not played him, he has a very large learning curve. I really feel like he's one of the top tanks when it comes to power and positioning and just being able to deal so much, not damage, but so much value in general, that it's really important that you learn this, and it's really hard to learn. It takes a lot of matches, a lot of practice. Winston is definitely an advanced character. But yeah, guys, this has been a long video, almost 30 minutes long, but I really just wanted to dive in here and give you guys my honest opinions about the tanks right now, because the tanks are absolutely wild right now. Like, they are so much fun to play. They might be even more fun than damage. If you guys don't usually play tank because you're turned off by the idea of being the leader of the team or being focused and your team doesn't give you support, I will say that does happen. But if you get in and you play 50 matches, 20 matches even, you're going to get a lot of good games, and you're going to learn a lot from the entire game just by playing tank. That's why I say in a lot of my guide videos, and definitely my beginner's guide video that a lot of you guys like, I said play tank first, because it's an important role and it will teach you a lot about the game, and that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. But we have an even bigger reason coming up, and that's because next season we are getting Hero 36. It's going to be a tank hero, and almost all signs lead to Mauga, and I hope that I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I don't believe that I am, but I will say that the community absolutely loves this character, and I did make a video about Hero 36. It's gotten a lot of love. I'm going to put a card up above so you guys can check that video out. I go over the backstory, just a little bit of backstory about Baptiste and Mauga and how they were partners, and we read a couple passages from the short story that introduces Mauga. And we go over his abilities from the short story that are going to potentially be coming up here in the next season. So we're not going to dive too much into Mauga, but I will say that this character absolutely looks like the first real tank that we are going to get in Overwatch 2. Yes, Junker Queen has been in the books for a while. We've always talked about Junker Queen in Overwatch 1 ever since Junkertown came out and we heard her voice, right? But Mauga specifically is what the community wants. They know that that's what we want, and he is going to be a big, bulky tank with a machine gun, a personal energy shield, and it's going to be completely nasty if we get him. The skins for this character are going to be on the level of ROADHOG skins. I cannot wait to see what they bring to the table for Mauga when it comes to his abilities, his kit. I honestly have no idea what his ultimate ability could be. There's a lot of speculation out there, but if you guys don't know who Mauga is, and this is your first time learning about him, which I hope it's not, you should go check out that video that I put a card up earlier, or I'll put it in the link, or I'll put it in the description for you guys too. go look up the short stories. They're free on playoverwatch.com. I don't know if you guys knew that, but yeah, all the short stories you can read for free in PDF form off the website. They want you to see this. You don't have to buy them, but it would be cool if you supported them and bought some of them because they're pretty cool. I bought an anthology book of most of the short stories. It was pretty cheap, and I got it at Barnes & Noble, so maybe if you guys enjoy those short stories, you should go check them out. Yeah, guys, so like I said, this has been a 30-minute video. I appreciate you guys sticking around if you've watched this long. We're going to be doing more stuff like this where I just go through and talk about specific stuff that's going on in character form and Overwatch community form. I really want to get into the habit of talking with you directly and getting my thoughts out here, almost like a podcast. I feel like some of those some of these videos should be that way here on the channel. You shouldn't get the whole edited version to make a perfect video. So yeah, guys, that was my opinions on the tanks and what I feel like is going to be upcoming next season with Hero 36, and I'm really excited. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. We are growing a lot, and it's been pretty awesome making these videos, and I'm going to keep pumping out more content for you guys, so I hope you enjoy, and yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Flash out.